Work session for tonight. John Gills and Jeff Oliver, along from Wyoming Valley Sanitation, Stormwater. Speak tonight. Jim Rose will speak with council regarding the borough's current state. We'll discuss the letter of intent, how the service can help the borough with no cost. We're going to discuss the budget, EDW service of West Wyoming, decide on changes to contract, compensate our costs we incur, including hourly rate and benefit provision to our employees. Borough manager position, borough treasurer position, how to proceed with unpaid borough bills, general admission agreement with PennDOT, multi-model transportation fund, resolve authorization application with multi-model transportation fund program for 8th Street widening and signal improvement project. Borough will need to pay payroll, tax liabilities that were not paid since July 8, 2018. Many late fees have been imposed on the borough. Police commission position, approved police department contract budget agreement, review the pension ordinance, published purpose proposal change to ordinance, approved for Geraldine Leo of 17 7th Street to have a handicap spot put in place. That's our agenda tonight. Wyoming Valley Sanitation like to speak now? Thank you, Jim.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Colella. I'm the head of the Stormwater Division of the Sanitary Authority. Bill Finnegan, who's our attorney. Good evening. We're here to speak about the stormwater fee that is going to be going into effect January 1st. Answer any of your questions. Let me just give you a quick 3-minute overview. Usually we do a presentation that takes about 20 minutes, but we want to speed things along a little bit, so I'm just going to talk quickly about this. This is an EPA mandate that is coming through the state DEP for the municipal stormwater permits that will go into effect January 1st of this year. So I was just wondering, Donna Gillis is in the back, our PR person. How many people knew about this program prior to getting the mailing in the mail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so a few people, I'd say, what, maybe six, 7 people out of the crowd. So this program, there's 2 main things that this program does. On one hand, there's a thing called a minimum control measure. So that there are 6 of them in this program that we have to do. So it's things like keeping the garages that the town owns clean, mapping. So we have to map all the manholes, storm drains, and pipes that are in Wyoming. We have to professionally map them, and we have to submit that map to DEP. We have to do education and outreach. So we have to do things with the schools. We have to do things with the public. Those are the first 2 MCMs. There's other stuff, if there's construction in the town now, there's not that much construction in Wyoming, but obviously in the townships of our storm authority, there is quite a bit of building. The second part that we have to do is we have to build something called BMPs. So they're best management practices. They're also known as green infrastructure projects. So these green infrastructure projects take sediment out of stormwater. And we have to reduce the amount of sediment going to the creeks and to the Susquehanna River by 10% in the next 5 years. That is what we are under permit for. So Wyoming has a permit given out by the state that you have to reduce your sediment to the Susquehanna by 10%. And that's the main 2. Now there's all little details that I could stand here for an hour and a half and talk to you about, but I'm here to answer your questions, so fire away. Anybody? Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Why are they painted pink?
The storm drains?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going around and we're doing a 2-step GPS process. So you'll usually see with the pink, there's also a fish in yellow with the storm drain. So part of the MCMs is to do stenciling to show people that, hey, listen, what you're putting in here is going right to the creek or to a river. So whatever you dump in there is going right to our waterway. It's not going through the sanitary system and then to the Wyoming Valley Sanitary Authority, then to the river. It's going right to the river. The second thing is with the pink, we have a two-step GIS process. So we have to professionally mark every storm drain, storm grate, manhole in the entire valley. So when we get done with it, we spray it pink. That way the Army Corps of Engineers knows when they come through that that has been done.
Whose job is it to clean it out?
To clean out the storm grate itself, that is one of the things that we're offering. So we're teaming with the towns to offer what we call our emergency services package. So we do catch basin cleaning, we do catch basin rebuilding, and we do street sweeping. So that's something that's already in place and is actually happening now. So we've been through Wyoming twice. We work with your DPW and with the council people on what streets you want swept. The only caveat is it has to be a locally owned road. It can't be a state road. The state has their own permit and they're required to do things under their permit that we can't do. So we kind of be overlapping. So if it's a town street, we can do any of those three things. Catch basin rebuilding, catch basin cleaning, and we've done about, last count, 392 catch basin cleanings in the past 3 months in the 32 towns in the valley that are part of this storm authority. So that's part of the fee. Go ahead, Fire.
Mostly, basically just enforcing what you should have been doing or doing all of it.
Here's the thing.
Same principles that you're supposed to do, right?
This has been in place since 2002.
Right.
And what happened is no one did it. So
That's
now
what I'm saying.
EPA has come in and they said, listen, you have to start doing this stuff. You can't just ignore it. And the cheapest way to do it is combine our resources. To be honest with you, now for the normal homeowner, it's going to be $4.80 a month. If you add it to your taxes in Wyoming, it would probably be about $10 a month. Realistically, that's what it would cost for the town to do it on their own. Because we have economies of scale that, in Wyoming, where are you building these BMPs? So let's say you had to build 10 of them. Where are you putting them? How much empty land do you have to build these things? There's not a lot of empty land in West Pittston, Exeter, Wyoming, well, maybe a little bit West Wyoming. You know, all the inland towns, you're pretty landlocked unless you're one of the townships. So we could build things in the townships, get land cheaply. We could build things and it counts for Wyoming when I build something in Wilkes-Barre Township. That's somewhere out of the way. I'm not buying somebody's house, knocking it down to put a BMP up, because now the acquisition cost becomes, land acquisition becomes higher and higher, because I have to buy the house, gotta knock it down, I have to put all this stuff in.
But I mean,
Yeah.
you have to reduce a percentage.
Yes.
Street sweeping will reduce a lot that should be done. for
It
years.
should, right,
Storm drains should be cleaned, they're
Yep.
not filled to the top, that should be maintenance. The
Correct.
scope of the work should be the same, you're just gonna keep.
we're gonna keep
Like I said,
doing, the main thing you have to do is these BMPs, so these infrastructure projects. They clean the water, they take sediment out of the water. So what happens is the water flows to these rain gardens, they flow to a detention pond, the sediment settles out of the water, and the cleaner water goes to the river. And you have to have there's mathematical formulas how to figure it out, how much this BMP is taking out of the water. So we have to reduce, in the 32 towns, 4 million pounds a year of sediment to the river and to streams.
Just to be clear, some of these mandates, like the reduction of the sediment that Jeff is talking about, that only came into effect for this permit cycle. That was not something that had to be done before. So that's a new requirement, and that's really what precipitated, people on the state level to come to us and say, listen, these towns cannot do this on their own in a cost-effective
Which part
manner.
did you mean that was new?
The 10% reduction in the sediment, which includes a nitrogen and a phosphorus component, that's a new requirement. For this next
Well, that would
5
be
years,
for businesses, industry, or car washers or stuff,
it's,
correct?
the municipality as a whole has to reduce that amount of sediment, and that includes subpart of nitrogen and phosphorus. That's all part of the new permit cycle. The new
Right,
5-year
Sediment, you
cycle.
mean organic?
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, yeah, street sweeping was done forever, but they never just kept up with it. I mean, just our town.
Yeah.
not
Right,
our-
the street sweeping is not,
cinders from the winter time, right?
but that's going to get you a fraction of what has to be done.
Unfortunately,
It's
that's
a very
true.
small part of this process. The big projects are going to be stream restoration projects where erosion is being prevented. These BMPs, a lot of the commercials have put in rather large BMPs as they've done development over the years. But what you have to have in there to get credit for it is a pollution reduction
Yeah, who pays for
component.
that, who would pay for that part of the stream is eroding?
That's all part of this program.
That's part of this program.
Where would that fees come from?
That would come from this fee.
It's going to be paid for by this fee.
Right, so this fee is paying for all this work, including the street sweeping, the BMPs. Another thing we're doing is, the towns have to do something called good housekeeping. So this is a lot of paperwork. DEP loves paperwork, so when they come in, the first thing they look at is the paperwork. We come in and do an audit. So we're starting right now doing audits of the town, making sure the paperwork is in order. Wilkes-Barre was fined $25,000 for not having their paperwork together by EPA and not having website links that work. Actually their fine was $100,000, they negotiated it down.
Kingston.
Right, Kingston, $15,000 fine.
I mean, I don't think the fee is anything.
No.
$4. I mean, that's not a problem. A lot of people were just misunderstanding what it was for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand, and that's what we're trying to educate people on, what you're paying for, what you're getting for your money. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the street sweeping, the borough isn't gonna have to pay WBSA to do
Nope,
that, correct?
that's part of the fee.
So that means, in theory, the borough could sell their street sweeper.
Correct.
Okay.
They can sell their street sweeper. We are gonna be doing the street sweeping. We're trying to bring back some of the stuff. Here's what's happened too, especially in Wyoming would know this. Your street departments over the year have been eroded. When I was a kid, grew up in West Pittston. Tuesday was right side of the street, Wednesday was left side of the street. You moved your car. Your parents would be out, hey, hurry up, get out. Move your car over to the other side before you get a ticket. Now they don't do it at all. It's not done at all. We're trying to bring some of that back, try to maintain what we have, and fix part of our rebuilding process is we're trying to fix the infrastructure that is really broken badly. So especially with the storm drains and drains, we're coming in, we're fixing storm drains, rebuilding them as part of this fee at no cost to the town.
So how many times a month or a week are they gonna sweep?
Right now, we've gone 3 months since we started this program. We've done all 31 towns twice. So once the spring starts up, we're gonna be, obviously starting, so I'm looking like 4 times, 5 times a year coming through.
So it might
And
not be worth the borough getting rid of their sweeper.
it might not be, it depends on now. We might be adding additional equipment where maybe we're coming 12 times. So we're gonna see as this program rolls out, how it works. It's working very well on the street sweeper side. A lot of people appreciate it because, like you said, it hasn't really been done.
Yeah, that's definitely not a main component of this program. I mean, what the borough ends up doing with their streets.
Yeah, that's up to you.
Is up to them.
Right.
But that's not where we get the big bang for
No, but it could be a
for
cost
the
savings if the
reduction.
borough could sell an expensive
Well, that's up
street
to the
sweeper
borough
that they have
as
to
to-
maintain.
It could be.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes, ma'am.
When are we gonna be, could we be notified when it's coming around? Because I come home, you come home and you're, they did the street but didn't notify us. And there's
Right.
all these marks around everybody's
Around the cars?
But I mean, I would rather move my car and know.
Sure. We're working with the DPW and trying to get, some towns want to post it and have people move their cars, other towns don't. We're leaving that up to the town to decide. Some towns want to send a police officer with, if they post it 3 days beforehand and they give out tickets. That's up
Yeah,
to
but
the
it's not
town.
fair to see people at work.
No, I
Can't
understand.
they give like at least a monthly charge?
We do. We are scheduling the street sweeping a month ahead of time. So the town knows.
Do you have a website or are you gonna just send out the paperwork?
Here,
Yeah, we have a website and we'll be adding the schedules, beginning in the spring.
Yeah, once the street sweeping starts again.
Projects and streets that we've done so far. And I just want to add, speaking of the website, while I'm on that topic, we just launched a new one to include a lot of helpful information on stormwater management. So if you haven't yet, it's a great repository of information. And also, we have an online survey there for residential fee credits. All right, so you get to tell us, what are you willing to do to earn some residential fee credits? For example, installation of a rain barrel that can reduce the pollutants leaving your property. So far, we have over 100 respondents on those surveys, so we appreciate any kind of feedback that you want to give.
Anybody else with any?
Did you have a question, sir?
Yes, sir.
I noticed in the flyer you had different fees for different square footages.
Correct.
Now, I understand that, like, sidewalks and driveways eventually drain into the system.
Correct.
You're not including things like if I have a sidewalk in my backyard,
Yes.
but it doesn't drain into the system.
It's still considered impervious area by DEP, and that is included in the, now, for a regular house, a normal house, will it make any difference? No. Your fee's still gonna be the same. If you're 5,200 or 4,500, bill-wise, it makes no difference. Your bill still stays the same. So for most, 83% of all the buildings in the entire valley fall in tier 2, which is the 480 a month. You're talking really large houses out in the country area, and you're talking large commercial businesses, in the industrial parks are in that tier 3.
Like the Midway Shopping Center.
Correct. That's a tier 3
If
property.
you have a residential property, unless you have a tennis court or a basketball court in your backyard,
You're paying for it.
you're probably not going into the upper tier.
Right.
I mean, you have to have a lot of
So do
impervious
have an
area.
in-ground pool.
Nah, then I wouldn't worry about that too much. Unless you have a really, to be honest with you, if you have a really long driveway, that actually knocks you into tier 3 more than anything. More than a pool, more than anything. I was looking at a house today out in Lehman Township. It was a nice house, not 2,200 square feet. They had a 7,000 square foot driveway to their house. So that's really on the house side, on the residential side where you're gonna be paying that more money, is if you have a really long driveway.
Yes, sir.
Do you have the fee in the back mountain or only?
Dama has their own fee
Oh, okay.
that they are starting. We have Harvey's Lake, Jackson Township, Lehman Township. They have Dallas City, and in the Dama areas, their fee is actually the same. They have a $5 a month fee. We have $4.80. We're offering other services that they're not, especially the emergency services with the street sweeping. They're not offering that. So, yes.
If the stormwater and the sewer fee are separate, and
Yes.
the infrastructure is separate, why do houses in Wyoming get sewage water up when it rains heavy?
Because in parts of the town, they are combined. So you have there's 2 systems that carry stormwater. There's the MS4 system, which is under this permit. So that's storm drains that go directly to the river, or go directly to the river here. There's also combined sewer. So you have stormwater and sewer combined. They go to diversion chambers, which are owned by the sanitary authority, and then that water gets pumped down to the sanitary. That's why if it overflows, sometimes you will, in parts of the town, you'll get sewage in with your stormwater.
So this new fee won't fix that at all?
It will not fix that. That's a whole different issue. I'll give you a perfect example. To separate stormwater and sewer in one diversion chamber in Wilkes-Barre. So part of Wilkes-Barre costs $7 million. We have 52 diversion chambers. So do the math. It's $400 or $500 million to do what you want. And I'm all for it. That would be great, but
How much a month would that?
yeah, that'd be a lot. So you're talking $500 million to do that, to separate them out. So, anybody else? Yes,
I'm curious.
Sure.
This is all Greek to me. of
Sure.
course. But like when this happens, when you create this,
Mhm.
the system is such that it takes care of itself like automatically after a while?
What's that? Now, what are we talking
Cleaning it
about?
all out, the sewers, cleaning it all out.
We have people on the sewer side that clean the lines themselves.
Yeah.
And we're bringing those people, we're gonna have them be cleaning the storm drains and the storm pipes. Now, we're kind of bringing the sewer services to the storm realm. So we're gonna be cleaning out catch basins, we'll be cleaning out storm pipes, things that block up. I get pictures at work, and Donna's seen them. I have a lake in my yard when it rains, so you know what I do? I send somebody over there and try to find out, if we can help them. Yeah, if we can have, a lot of times it's blocked up storm drains. They're blocked up, they're not been maintained over the years. Listen, and I know, when you remodel your house, what's the thing you don't want to spend money on? Electrical, plumbing, you don't want to spend anything on the basics because you don't get to enjoy it. But when it breaks in your house and your house is flooded, then you'll worry about it. Same thing with pipes in the ground. Nobody thinks about it until it's in their house. When your toilet, when your lateral is broken, then you think about it. Other than that, you don't think about it. So we have to get a little more proactive and try to take care of what we have and fix what's really bad because it's not being maintained correctly. And, it's causing a lot of problems. Yes, sir?
Who's your oversight?
Our oversight is DEP. So DEP issues the permit to the town.
Are they gonna regulate the monthly charges down the line when that starts coming back?
As of now, they haven't. I can't tell you what they're gonna do down the line.
That comes from your department. If you find out that $5 a month doesn't work for us, then you'll.
Here's what, this is our plan right now, is to keep the $480 a month for the 5-year permit cycle. What they're gonna do in the next five-year permit cycle, I have no idea.
They've been DEP.
DEP, right, so they give us the rules and say, this is what you have to do.
So they're the ones that will dictate the charge.
Correct.
Okay.
It's not that they're dictating the charge, but they're telling you what to do, and you have to figure out how to do it. Now, what that'll cost, it depends on what they want.
What's gonna happen is, in the next 5 years, we're gonna have to do, depending upon what DEP approves in our projects, approximately 65 projects. That's gonna reduce the 10% sediment and phosphorus and nitrogen. When this 5-year cycle ends, what Jeff said was, we don't know what DEP is going to do. They say, well, great, you guys did a wonderful job, thank you. Now you have to maintain that and do an additional 10%. Then we have to look at how do we get that extra 10%. So we can't answer that because we don't know what DEP is going to do. Right. I just want to make sure you understand how we have to proceed.
Yeah, everything's coming down from them. So, anybody else question?
Does council have any questions? Or
How are you doing it? By footage in your yard or just house per house?
It's per property. So let's say you own two, you get 2 tax bills. Right, let's say you own 2 tax bills.
You get one tax.
Okay, if you own 1 tax bill, you get 1 fee.
Okay.
If you own 3 properties, you would get 3 fees. Now, for some businesses, and this is my favorite one, I always bring this one up. Lowe's in Edwardsville, used to be the West Side Mall. It's still divided up in the county database as the West Side Mall. It has 14 properties on Lowe's. They're gonna get 14 bills. That's how it works. It's all done by property. What was that?
Apartments.
Apartment, if it's on one deed, it's 1 bill. So unless it's a townhouse, obviously, then they'd all be but if it's an apartment building, the building's on one deed, you get 1 bill. So it's not by tenant, it's not like EDU like the sewer is. It's
Per unit.
Right, it's by parcel. So what we did is we flew a plane over the valley. We took high definition pictures. We took infrared. We shot laser. And we figured out the impervious area on every piece of property in the valley. And we have a database that tells us how much impervious area is on your property. So that was done in the fall of 17.
Is that $4.80 covering that too?
Yes, it does. We're one-stop shopping. So, anybody else? If anybody ever has any questions?
Yeah, speaking of that, we have some informational handouts for you on that table over there. And these are FAQs, they're frequently asked questions that we've received over the past year when we've been out, talking about this program, and also a good overview of the Regional Stormwater Management Program is there if you'd like to take some handouts.
Yeah, if you ever have any questions, need anything, call down the sanitary, ask for me. I'm on the phone tree. I'm happy to answer your questions. If I can't help you, I'll give you the person who can help you. So if you have any questions when your bill comes, feel free to give me a call. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
thank you. Thank you.
It'll be quarterly. It's a monthly bill, but billed quarterly. It'll be on the same bill. Sanitary bill, yeah. It'll be underneath it. Oh, okay. It'll be a separate line item.
What is your name?
Jeff, here's my card.
Okay.
Anybody want it?
There's a problem over at 10th.
Give me a call.
Monument.
Yes, I know. Had to mind on the sewer. Problem right there.
Yeah.
Very familiar with it.
Yeah, it's, they start pumping that, the gas is back up in the house.
Yeah, there's always been a problem right there, right at that intersection.
All right, thanks.
Give me a call, yeah.
I will.
I know you. Yes, it's done by a Crooks area, so really where it would change. I'd rather stick here.
Jim Rose is gonna talk, if we can quiet down a little bit.
I know you're
We
fine.
have another speaker here, please. Put down the mic. Thank you.
So, I wanted to just talk, a couple of questions. I guess I'll start here. Inside the folder is just the request for the letter of intent. It's actually the letter of intent. And that explains one of the programs we have is free for inmates and relevant. The state will provide free of charge, no strings attached, a peer, somebody who has worked as borough manager in this case, who would be able to come in and work hand in hand with Roseanne and help her to try to weed through everything, all the finances, all the bills, try to make sense of it, and also to help Roseanne with all the milestones for all the reports that are required. So that's something I was kind of hoping, if at all possible, if you guys would approve of that, and if we could just have a motion, and it's explained right on the thing, on the packet, it's explained how it has to be done. It's a very easy, straightforward thing, and I have someone lined up to do that, who will be able to start here soon, if Roseanne is okay with that.
So essentially, the letter of intent allows for Jim's office to provide us with someone to train Roseanne. With Tamara leaving and all the responsibilities Roseanne has, is to provide us with a free individual to help figure out what's going on, what we can do, what we need to do, and help put us back on the right track. And it is a completely free program that has no cost to the borough.
Literally, no strings are attached to this program. The person isn't going to be digging for anything, the person is just going to be trying to help get everything done. So I'd ask you if you would do that tonight, if you're so inclined. If you could do that tonight at your council meeting, and then I could get that process started this week, actually. And our person would be able to reach out to Roseanne and make an appointment to start that. The second thing I wanted to talk to you about was the early intervention program. Have you had, I talked to Roseanne, and she said that there was one response to the request for proposals for the EIP program.
You see the bid here, they haven't opened it.
Okay.
So they plan on opening that review.
Okay. And if it's acceptable to you, since this is the last regularly scheduled council meeting, if it's acceptable to you, and if you find it in order, if you could award that bid, because we would like to get that organization started as soon in the new year as we possibly can. Now that program will work hand in hand with the peer program. The two can work together, there's no problem with that. But those folks will be able to come in and they'll be able to take a look at your operations and your finances, and they will be able to help you come up with a plan to make sure you're on the right track and to make sure things come back together for the borough. Because it looks like, you know, you have a lot of money that you owe, and again, you don't have a lot coming in at this point in the year. So I'd ask you to review that, Lars, when you open the bid, if it's okay with Borough Council, if you can award that bid, and then we can get the company in here. It looks to me like it's Pennsylvania Economy League.
I think you probably know Jerry Cross, he's on the board with you, so, you know, they do good work if that is if that's the company. So that's the second thing.
Jim, if you could explain to them, what's the cost associated with the EMP to them?
I think we have a 75-25 for you, but we're going to relook at that, because I don't know how. And that means it's a grant, it covers $50,000, and the way it's set up right now, the state would pick up 75% of that $50,000, and the borough would be responsible for the rest. But we can use in-kind services, oftentimes to set aside what the borough's copay is. But the other thing that we could do is the borough's copay would be the last thing. So we would expend the state funds first and pay the contractor, and then the borough would be able to have some time, because it's actually a 3-year, they won't be here for 3 years necessarily, but the funding is for 3 years, so you wouldn't be responsible until that 3rd year. And by that point, I would think, you know, that's 3 years away, I would think that the borough would be in a different financial shape at that point. The other thing with this early intervention program is that it can have more than one phase. So whoever comes in and works with the program is going to give you a list of maybe 100 things that they recommend that you do. And if they involve, the borough of Shenandoah is on their 4th phase of the early intervention program. And we are going to be funding for them new computer hardware, software, servers, and we're also going to provide funding for them to put up a wall in their reception area so that people can't just hop over in the Poconos last week. So we can be creative with that, but we also can fund consultants to come in for anything. So if you guys, I know in West Pittston, we didn't have good HR, we didn't have good human resources, job descriptions or anything like that. So that was something that if we were involved in this program, we would have wanted it to be taking place. That's something that we can do as well. It's a very, 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 very flexible program, early intervention program. And it's a program that we prefer to use to prevent the last program that we have. And I put a description of that program in each of the folders too. That program is called Act 47, the Municipalities Financial Recovery Act, and that is a much more restrictive program.
That's what Manico had.
That's exactly right. And it worked very well for them.
Yeah, I think they were on it for 2 years.
It was 5. But they were out within the allotted time frame, yeah. And we've had, West Hazelton has been in that program, they did well. Hazelton is now in it, and they're doing better. Scranton's been in it for a long, long time, but they'll be out next year finally, because they've been able to do what needs to be done. And that's a program where we fund a consulting group to come in and to make more intensive and more in-depth recommendations to the borough. They would, for example, need to approve of your budget, to say that the budget fits in with the recovery plan that they would develop with all of you. You would all be a part of developing the recovery plan, but that's something that, that they could do. That lasts for 5 years, and it means that it does not mean that you would lose control of the borough in any way, shape, or form, but it does mean that you have oversight there all the time. Is it something that's effective? Yeah, it is effective. But it's something that the state prefers to use as a last-ditch effort after we try these other programs that we have. But I wanted you to see what that program was all about. You can read it, ask me questions, and we can take it from there. Finally, I just wanted to ask, budget-wise, have you started to prepare the budget for the 2019?
We worked on it, me and Roseanne.
Okay. So you've started, because you have some time frames that need to be accomplished, and I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I was thinking cities all day today, so I'm.
We should be having a budget in place for the start of the year.
Well, yeah, you have to, yeah.
So we have a preliminary one, and that Roseanne just, I think, finalized, put together.
I put together, but the problem I'm having right now is none of the statements were reconciled for 10 months. So I have like over 60 statements that I have to reconcile, and it's just here. I can't do it because I'm the only one here. I mean, I'm up until midnight doing things, but I just can't, you know, it's hard. Nothing was done for 10 months on that,
So that means that
so we don't have the exact,
it's gonna be an estimate.
yeah, it's estimated, it's not,
Okay.
you
Pretty hard,
know.
like, Rose and I sat down, it's pretty hard to work off the top of that. Yeah, that, you know, so. kind of-
Basically, they're operating on a checkbook.
I shared with you the chart of accounts, right?
Yes,
And that's how the budget
Right.
should flow.
and
There's a
I,
chart of accounts that we publish, that the DCD publishes, and we ask all the municipal governments in the state to use it. Because in the reporting that you all do to us, that's how we record it, that's how we record it in our systems. So, but this year, you know, you just gotta have a budget.
Right.
And is there any help that I can provide? Is there anything I can do to help you guys with that?
Money.
well, I just, to get
I
the
think-
proper
I think
figures,
too,
I
yeah.
just have to just, see, it's hard for me to do it when I'm here, because there's people coming in. I'm still trying to get all the invoices. I have like 3,000 invoices that kick out for
So our peer
garbage.
will help you
So
with
it's
that.
just, it's, I mean, I have so much stuff to do. I was coming in
Well,
later,
Let me ask you, Jim,
trying to do it from home.
the letter of intent for the peer,
Yes.
is that individual just going to need training Roseanne? Would that individual just be training Roseanne, or would that individual be able to roll up their sleeves and help
Yes.
Roseanne perform the duty?
Yes.
So it'd be side by side working together?
Yes.
And that's a no-cost employee?
Exactly.
But right now,
I don't know
we have
how
one
many
person
hours
to do
she'll be
it,
able to
you know?
give to the borough, but she'll give as much as she can. Because she has a couple other communities that she's working with, but she'll give you as much time as she can.
Right, right. The only problem is too, if she were to actually help me, I only have a computer that I'm using too, because I can't use the other one until it's been,
Maybe we can give her a state that.
and the one I do from the remote site, it's a trial, so it's up, so I can only work so many more times from home, it's gonna be done. Because the other day, last night, when I was trying to do invoices, at midnight I gave up.
If council approves of the peer, then I'll have Barbara contact you, and then you guys can work it out now. She's usually available in the evenings or weekends, which means that she would come in and see what you needed to do, and then she could work on her own in the evenings or on weekends. Okay, so then that would also free you up. I mean, you wouldn't have to, you know what I mean? Like, you could still do all the other stuff that you have to do, that she'd be able to help you with.
So talk to me a little bit, understand the peer, the EIP then, that grant, you know, you're talking about an evaluation, that's not so much helping the office, that's more long-term help, long-term
Correct.
planning.
But it can result in helping. We've also partially funded some employees in other municipalities. So for example, if you wanted to hire an assistant, I'm just gonna throw a number out, I know it's not realistic, it's saying $30,000 is what you were gonna pay this person. Well, the first year, we could pay like 75% of that 30,000, and then 50%, and then 25%, the borough would do on its own for that person. So we've done that before.
So how do we get to, is that's short of the Act 47?
Then you gotta push that person around.
You would want to at that point. But we would hope that the borough by that point would be able to afford to keep that person on its own. I know that you'd be able to straighten things out sufficiently that you could do it on your own. Because the borough, I mean, it looks bad, and it is bad, but I've seen worse. And those communities have been able to use our programs and turn things around. But I don't think you could do this on your own. I think that there's just too much right now. I think they can all assist.
So then tell me, Act 47.
Yes.
So where does that fall in this whole process? So
What's going to happen is I believe, I think on the request for proposals, we asked that the respondents formulate, develop an emergency action plan if needed. Well, once they do that, and you take a look, what would the emergency action plan be? Well, if the borough does this, and this, it'll prevent itself from, worse things happening or what have you. Part of that emergency action plan may just very well be, we think that the borough has too many things going against it right now, and we would recommend Act 47.
okay.
At the end of this, at the end of the GIP, rarely we have seen that, they just can't, there was too much, it all caved in on top of them, and they may need Act 47. The way that you can get into Act 47, a couple of different ways that are spelled out in the, well, surprisingly, there are 11 requirements, and you have to meet one, and you meet around 3 of them right now. So you could, but we want to do this first. Does that help?
Yeah, that does. Is there anything that, so you've had a chance to look at those animals?
Yes.
Some of our council should be aware of, they should be paying more attention to.
There are a lot of things, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but you guys, the 4 of you, plus the others who are resident, have the complete fiduciary responsibility for the borough's finances. So it all comes back to you. And I think it's important to know where the bills are, when they're being paid. You need to have a very realistic budget. So you need to say, here's what we spent the last couple of years on police, for example, because that's probably the most expensive expenditure, right? Police usually are. But you have a police department, so you need to know how much you paid in fuel, how much you paid in the leases for the vehicles, how much you paid in training, how much you paid in rounds or weapons or whatever, how much you paid in longevity pay, how much you paid in salaries and benefits. You need to know all of that, because you and I all know it doesn't ever go down. It always goes up. And you have contracts with the police. I'm sure that they are entitled in their contracts to have raises, so you have to factor all that into the budget. But you need to know everything. You need to know what your DPW is paying. You need to know, you guys provide some services in West Wyoming, right? You gotta make sure that you're not making money on it, but that at least you're covering whatever your costs are for that. You need to make sure that you get the right amount of salt, all of that. And how do you do that? You do that by experience, by looking back at where you've been, and then by making the best possible educated guess. That's going to be hard for you guys because it looks, when I look back, I see that that there are not always, the audits aren't always on time. I mean, some of the paperwork that is turned into us isn't always on time. So that means that you have perhaps less of an idea of where you've been than some other municipalities might have. It's also very important that everything you do in a public meeting. Obviously, you're not going to have conversations with your attorney about personnel matters or about legal matters or property sales. But everything else you should do in the meeting. So if you're going to take money if you were going to move money temporarily from one fund to another, we don't recommend that, but if you are, just make sure that you have you do it in a motion, that you say how much you're moving from where to where, and how much, or absolutely when you're going to have it paid back to whatever fund that was, which should be in the same fiscal or calendar year that you have. So those are some things just off the top of my head, and knowing a little bit about Wyoming. And I wanted to make sure. Oh, the other thing is, are you guys gonna do a tan for next year?
You're gonna have to.
Let me just say, it looks like you're just under $300,000 that your bills are until now, right? If that's the case, and you're gonna get, Roseanne, how much do we figure you're gonna have income for this? I mean, it wasn't a lot, it was maybe $40,000, $50,000, I think.
It's, well, with the, I'm trying to think, we have, right now, we're looking at 31, but from that 31, we had payroll.
Right. And longevity pay, which
And
we got that
longevity.
31.
Right.
Entire.
Well, no, it's not that much. So, depending upon, we're gonna have to take another 20 off of that, maybe we'll have 10,000. I don't know how much we're gonna get from the tax, you know, or from the Berkheimer, because it doesn't look like we get a lot in December, looking at the past.
Right.
We have a sale of Tahoe, we gotta do that, but we have no trail, so we have to work that. That's not much. We just got something in from transfer taxes, but there's no more big income coming in right now. So we're kind of restricted, you know, even less than what we were talking about, a little bit less, because we figured in the DPW, but it was billed late.
Okay.
It wasn't done on time, so
Right.
that's
All right.
why
Well,
we had that extra in December the previous year.
my dad always said it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, at this point, it is what it is, but I would recommend that you strongly consider a can for next year. You'd have to go out and look for it now, of course, and then close on it beginning of January, so you can pay some of these bills off. And so you'll work with the capital to work with, because you probably won't start to get your tax monies until the end of the first quarter, I would guess. That's about right. But then it'll come in nicely. But, so that's a long period of time.
All right, third quarter is.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know.
Did you guys do a tan for 2018?
No, we're still paying on the same.
Well, you have a loan to pay for the tank.
They took a 10 out years ago, didn't pay, and they took a loan out to pay the 10.
Okay. But I would recommend you take a look at it. I don't know how much money you have to play with. That has to stay back by the end of the year. I don't really know how much you have, so I don't really know how much you can afford to borrow. What else?
That leads into, you know, with a lot of the time, it seems clear that that's something that you should seriously consider right now, to get some help to figure out what you can do.
It's seriously. Yeah. Where's the working part? I want DEP. Does that help? Yes.
Thank you very much.
You want to start off?
Years ago, we got a CEO, have a girl like her, $20 a week, they paid for it. What's possible with some of those?
I'm not sure what programs are still available around that. That's the last thing I said. Whatever you're going to do as far as borough manager, I would recommend you look at it or whatever, you know, whoever you hire, you know. I would recommend that you do that and try to figure that out. We just the ability to raise taxes this year. We have to look at it next year.
What we have to raise, it's not going to be that much.
No. Trust me, I know. You went to the house, borrow a house forever. I know that.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I tried to, yeah, just let me know if I did well or not.
Perfect.
I need to get something.
You do probably have, you have an intergovernmental.
Yes.
And even though that doesn't impact the law, the state really likes to know. Governments are working together. So this, description of the project, assistance, I want to say straightening out, words aren't coming I'm talking just about what you want to do with Peter. This, Roseanne, finances, budgeting, and reporting requirements.
Thank you.
Hang out for a bit in case anyone has questions.
The Robert Borough Council meeting for December 10th, 2018, and I'll come to order. Please stand. Raise our flag for our country and recite the pledge of allegiance.
We got a ton of stuff on our work session agenda to address here before the meeting, huh?
We already did it.
We went through each one of these items, there's 14 items.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Please be quiet. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the mayor be heard.
Let the mayor be heard.
Let the mayor be heard.
Quiet, please. I don't want to go out first.
There's no need to yell up to the council, Mayor. I think, you know, for the time, do you want to address these during the meeting, or do you want to address them before?
Every one of them needs to be addressed, so I think we should just take the time to go through it and then we can do the meeting. I mean, number 3 on the list is a budget. Obviously, we're in this predicament because we haven't had a proper budget for years. Are we all in agreement on that? Disagree. Where's the budget? For the last 8 years.
I am not the treasurer, I'm not the secretary. I'm
You
the
voted
council.
on it. You voted on it.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I don't keep that.
You keep it here?
It's got to be in a file somewhere.
There is.
Let's go on with this. Come on.
We'll keep going.
Come on.
DPW service for West Wyoming, okay? Now, we are all elected officials of Wyoming. I get that the previous administration had ties to West Wyoming. We're elected for Wyoming. At the last meeting, it was brought up that we're billing them $25 an hour and it costs us $32.50, okay? Doesn't make sense, we're losing money. So I asked Roseanne to pull the figures for me on what we're actually getting. Sorry, give me 1 second. Basically what it boils down to, somewhere, sorry. Yeah, those numbers, they're written down. Here it is. So, for 2017, we billed West Wyoming just shy of $27,000. For 2018 so far, we billed them $35,000. The contract does not show an overtime rate that was drawn up. So if you take the amount that we're billing them at $25 an hour, you divide it out, and then basically multiply it back out by what it's actually costing us just for their benefits, we actually lost almost $20,000 based on what the contract states. We also spent $60,000 to do a snow removal job when we had that big storm. West Wyoming didn't spend anything from what I'm told. This was brought up to the previous mayor back in July of 17 by our DPW head and basically said to him, we are losing money in West Wyoming with this deal. Did he ever mention that to you guys? Never brought that to your attention? Okay. So, the email states, "Hi Jim, can you review this and provide any comments?" Jim says, you know, the agreement looks fine, except my opinion is $25 an hour doesn't cover our cost. You guys are paying out. Then we are called out after hours, and it definitely doesn't cover our cost. This is from the previous mayor. It is my understanding $25 an hour covers the rate of a junior employee, but council will review it. Jim's response, okay, that's up to you guys, but I'm making you aware, John and I are over there a lot. It's more than just cutting grass. Bob's response is, gotcha. So this was presented back in July 10th of 2017. This previous administration knew we were not making money on this deal. We need to worry about Wyoming. We're going into an EIP process. I mean, I talked to Jim. We're 3 guys in our department. They used to be 7. I mean, his time would be better served in Wyoming. I mean, I'm all for helping West Wyoming, doing what we need to do. They're a great neighbor. We work great together. But the fact that we're minus $342,000 right now, we need to put Wyoming first. So if that's the case, I think we need to reevaluate it. If we have to help them through the winter, you know, that's fine. Obviously, we have to increase that rate because we can't keep losing money like we were. But it needs to come to an end. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make, it's not fiscally responsible to keep continuing that. And I think we're only going to find that out when EIP comes in, that they're going to, I mean, that's going to throw a red flag immediately, that we're losing money.
I'm sorry, you know, I'm a little new to this, but what's the West Wyoming? Do we have a contract with West Wyoming?
We do, but when is it up? Because it was addressed here, but the last meeting that we had, the last meeting agenda said that we would be reviewing it, so. That's why I spoke with Jim and tried to figure this out.
Okay. Do we have minutes from last meeting?
It was on the last agenda, the last work session.
Okay. Was there anything motioned or? Okay.
Morris, can you get in touch with their solicitor and see what they've done as far as everything under the contract?
Okay.
We can't find it if you haven't found it. Have you found it?
Jim gave me a copy of it, I can get you a copy of
Okay. Do you know when it expires?
that. I, he just gave it to me, I think it's a look.
Mayor, do you have a copy of the contract?
No.
Maybe Tommy has it over here.
Well, I definitely think it's something that needs to be looked at because, I mean, either that or, I mean, we could be doing a lot. We have 3 guys. We could be keeping 3 guys in our own borough. And, you know, even with that big snowstorm, we had guys over there doing their snow removal. Meanwhile, we're dropping 60 grand on hauling it out when our guys could have been here better well served.
You're talking back in March of
17.
Okay. Well, okay, so, Roseanne, could you get me a copy of the West Wyoming shared services contract? I'm assuming it's some sort of shared services contract? Okay, and that was approved at a council meeting for us to enter into that?
I wasn't here enough.
That was approved at a council meeting for us to enter into that contract?
That was at 16.
Okay.
I mean, that's a couple of years ago, for sure it was.
Okay.
So that's what I wanted to talk about with item number 4. Borough manager position, are we in agreement that we're not doing anything right now aside from basically Roseanne will be acting borough manager?
Correct.
Borough treasurer position?
Well, I don't necessarily think that's completely accurate. If they're looking at the letter of intent right now,
Which would be,
to provide assistance.
yes, but I'm saying we're not openly advertising to bring somebody, correct? Okay. What about the treasurer position? Is there any advertising going out for that?
That I think we should do. Yes. Because it's not.
So we are going to advertise for a treasurer, so we're not going to that tonight.
Well,
He's in it, right there, Jim,
What you're gonna say?
all right, so
We could just hold off on that for right now.
what do we pay the borough treasurer?
$33,000 or $3,500 a year.
33,000.
$650 a month is what, $625, I'm sorry, is what for the treasurer.
It's a part-time position, correct?
Yes, yes.
The next item, 7, is how we're going to proceed with these unpaid bills. I talked to Mascaro today from our garbage. Now, I know you guys have said, you move funds around, it's been common practice, to pay bills and move funds around from this account to that account, the sanitation account. Well, it looks like funds are moved out of the sanitation account to the point where we owe Mascaro $49,000, and if they don't get paid by January 1, they're done picking up our garbage.
Should dump them anyway, go to county waste.
Okay.
So that was a conversation with them for that.
County waste, they're a whole lot cheaper.
Well, besides the Mascaro bill, what else do we have that's unpaid that needs to be addressed immediately?
The health insurance canceled,
The
their
health insurance?
health insurance, dental insurance,
Wait, it's
payroll.
canceled?
Well, they sent a note today that they're gonna stop paying bills. Tamara reached out to them, she told me she reached out to them, and explained to them, Concordia, they're not gonna allow them to do their dental. We have no vehicle insurance. They can't renew it because that's supposed to be done on the 15th of November. There's nothing has been paid since October, no billing.
Do we have any recourse if we hired someone to go after their liability or bond or anything?
Mayor, that's a whole other question that can be addressed at a later time. You have a more pressing issue of, figuring out, are you telling me that the borough's vehicles right now aren't insured?
As of November 15th, we discussed the last time, all these bills need to be paid. Where's the insurance?
She did a bang up job.
He did not, he said she was not the most possible. We have to pay these bills.
Did you inform any of them that that was the case?
Last time we were here, and Tamara told them before that we needed to pay the bills because they're gonna cancel stuff. We called, she said she called and extended. But they're not covering, because someone couldn't get the vehicle inspected because we don't have the updated insurance, because they're not gonna give us the cars because we haven't paid.
All right, so what vehicle insurance,
Solinsky Insurance.
where is that, and where are the figures for that? You just said to Jim that Jim asked you about the immediate financial concerns.
I talked to Jim about all this before.
He just asked you right now in front of you about it, and you said, well, we have enough for payroll, which indicates that we have enough to get us to the end of the
He met
year.
with me, he said to me when we met that we need to keep the money for payroll to the end of the year. The rest of the bills, the council's gonna have to decide what to do. Emails were sent out with the amounts, and there's a breakdown of everything that was due. Tamara gave it last month what was due. Nothing, and when, Chubb and Frank were in my office a couple of weeks ago after the meeting, I said, what do I do about these bills that need to be paid? Things are being canceled. I didn't get no answers. I don't know what to do. I
Council didn't
can't.
do their job.
Okay.
I tried. I don't know what to do, because there's no insurance, there's no nothing, and we've been, since October, I know Tamara has been presenting it and saying, we need to pay these bills. And then the list was at the last meeting, what needed to be paid, nothing was paid because we didn't have the money.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that, I understand what you're saying, there isn't money there, but I don't think, were you all aware that things were going to be canceled, such as
The only
health
thing I
insurance?
knew was the health insurance, and her and I talked about, we sent a check out with her, with your permission.
No, that was the state workers insurance.
That was
That was the SWIFT. But all the other ones as well, I mean, you knew they were, since October, we've been trying, well, I know she's been reaching out, the emails, because I was copying on them, the bills, what do we do? we have to pay these every month, and now we owe a huge amount out, now they can't even go to vendors, and I was told by Jim, when he came and met with me, he said, pay the light, pay the phone, pay the credit card and the gas, and the employees. But when he came and met with me after the meeting, he said, that is the most important right now, because we need to have, in case something broke down, they need to get a part, they need to use a credit card, because the vendors will start shutting us off because we can't pay them. Now, all the road department bills have been paid because there's funds. That's up to date. But anything other, if we have to go to, I mean, we have, we pay the credit card, so if they need to use that can be used, and the Wex gas card, which is the CoStar card. That was paid, so they have, yes, but there was no additional money to pay the insurances.
Okay. Look, you need to have the insurances backed up. Specifically the car insurances, everything else that your contractual requirement provides to the employee. So those bills need to be figured out how to go. So specifically looking at, I guess, what your breakdown is, and some of these are wrong.
If you look here, over there on the insurance card, behind that, 2 months. Not even, I didn't do that in December. It's October and November. Okay. Concordia, that's 2 months. Selected is the insurance vehicles. I'm sure it's more now. That was, I mean, there were bills from the last time that was presented.
Okay.
And they had asked, because we were going to do the clause in the sewer, and it was, you know, we had to put it on for 30 days for viewing of the amendment to the ordinance. Everything was kind of shut down because we had no more money to pull from. Can't get a loan. You get a CAN loan, so you're out from that until January. The places where they always used to pull from was the sewer account. You can't do that because we had that amendment clause in place for 30 days for review. So where else, where else are we gonna get the money from? And I got asked, what do I do? And nobody knew what to do. So it's not that I didn't bring this to everybody's attention. I know Tamara brought it to the attention, and then I did, and I mean, my hands are tied. I'm getting all this stuff is, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't done for 10 months. But I don't even know half the stuff. I mean, payroll liabilities, that should have been done since payroll was done. Hasn't been done since June of July. So in June, I mean, we owe federal, that the Internal Revenue Service wasn't paid. There's so many things that were just weren't done. That should have been done by the borough manager. And I'm not just trying to pick on anybody, but they were never done, and I didn't find out until I got everything. When I'm looking, I'm thinking, why do we have all these red exclamation marks on the payroll liabilities? I called PSAD, they said, second quarter wasn't done, third quarter wasn't done, and then when I called the IRS, they said,
She paid for it.
Things weren't done, and I'm just trying to get everything together, but see, I can't do them because we have to pay them, and I don't have anything to pay them.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think it was related to those individuals that, while it was related, you know, those were past due, the things were at the nature of what we're saying.
I sent out the expenses in here, some of the liabilities that were due.
That was sent out this, you know, last week.
Roseanne, when did you have the conversation with Jeff?
Right after the last meeting, they came in the next day. And I said, we have problems.
Okay.
And then I didn't get to see things until a little at a time. If you come into my office, you'll see piles and piles and piles of stuff that I'm just trying to go through and just figure out. Tamara never sat down and showed me anything. The day she came in to show me stuff was her last day that she was resigning, and she came in for an hour and a half, and she did payroll and left. That was it. Nobody showed me anything. I'm learning on my own, and I'm trying to do the best that I can. I want to get these invoices out for the garbage, because they have to be out by December 17th. I have to get them out. I'm doing it at night. I'm coming back. I'm trying to do the best that I can. Everything was kind of just thrown at me. I did make people aware that we have bills that need to be paid. You do know that after 2-3 months they're not going to be paid, they're going to start canceling too. I mean, it's not rocket science. I mean, they're going to, I mean, this is not the first time this has happened, where the insurance has almost been canceled. Bills weren't paid. She was in the hospital, bills weren't paid until like a month later, and I understand there was an issue there, but then sometimes they're being held over there, and I'm missing checks, I'm missing stuff, I'm messaging her to see if she has them, I don't answer them. I mean, I'm just finding things out. All the checks are done out of order. I'm trying to reconcile to get some kind of sense out of it. It's a little difficult when you're by yourself. And I'm trying to get all three other people, so it's hard to get there.
This conversation needs to be done in public. This isn't here behind doors.
So, moving forward, the only cancellation notices that the boroughs received are regarding the insurance, is that what you're saying? And then what the mayor's...
Insurance, all the insurances, and now we're getting from the vendors that Verizon, Systems, Voice, if you're not paying bills after so long, they're not gonna give you their services anymore.
Okay.
If you're past 60 days, they're gonna shut you down, because they want their money.
Have you tried to work out payment plans with any of them, or incremental payments with any of them?
Well, I try, but they're not there, like, well, by the time I get out of here, sometimes I come back, there's nobody there. Like, I can't get in touch with the person that needs to, I have to do that. I'm holding, I have someone coming in, I'm trying to help them. I can't
This
just
is
shut the door.
fall back on, you know what I mean?
I mean,
Like, she's
it
doing
seems
the
like,
best
I'm
job
trying to
she
do the
can.
best that I can, it seems like, I feel like it's like, oh, it's my fault. I'm just trying, I'm trying. I mean, everything was just thrown, and I did make people aware. I mean, I feel like, you know, I was told that Tamara was gonna come and sit with me. She came the last day for an hour.
That was before I got here. That was the budget.
Well,
It was a phone call, but-
for the, understand, I guess what this body needs to understand is what they need to immediately address here in front of them with regard to what's going to be shut off. Looking at that this list that you have to them, yeah, that's the insurance, is that correct?
Well, the major thing right now, I would think, is our insurance, because we have employees that, you know, they need to go to the doctors, they have dentist appointments and stuff, they're, you know, and they're concerned. The vehicles, this is a big thing, Highmark, United Concordia, and Selective. And the sanitation, we also need our garbage picked up, because they're gonna stop us. Another thing I would think is we have to, make sure our lights and our electric, you know, our water and our lights, you don't want the hydrants not to get any water coming out of them if there's a fire. That's, you know, that's important as well. We don't want the street lights to be shut off either. We keep getting notices, I call them, and I say to them, you know, I have to wait till the next cancel, you know, we keep, I mean, they understand that council has to approve, but here I am, but how are we gonna approve something if we don't have nothing?
This has been stemming and stemming and stemming, and that's what we were talking about for months. It's been growing and growing. We've had officers show up down here, Max. Which one of you guys was it that showed up and there was a UGI shut-off notice on the door?
That was me,
Yeah, like, I mean, and that was, we brought that up and nothing, like, it's just been going on and on. We've been trying to say that, but
I mean, I called Chuck countless times, and he would talk to Tamara, she said she would take care of it. And we both thought she was taking care of it. And it just kept snowballing, and here we are.
Let's talk. We tried.
Well,
explain it.
At this point, okay.
And the liability, it's an internal revenue, we gotta take care of it. It has a problem with people, with their wages, but you know, that's a nature, it seems payroll liability since June or July when they all lit up, because I didn't know, because I've never seen that program, because I've only worked with the garbage program. I talked to Danielle Baker at the TSAB, she goes, they all need to be paid immediately. And if you look at the payroll liabilities, we have $27,000. That's another major change.
Jim, do you have any insight for us on that?
changing your idea on the EIP?
No, but I am going to again strongly recommend a TAN, because then at least Roseanne will be able to call and say, we'll be closing on our TAN on such and such a date in the beginning of January, and that's when I can send you some money. We're halfway through the month, so there's nothing much we could do sooner than that.
Jerry?
Is,
Good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Yep.
you may be able to enter into a payment plan with the IRS. On the other hand, you have to pay it then. But it may involve a monthly fee, right?
Yeah, plus high interest rate.
Plus high interest rates. But that may be one consideration you might want to.
And penalties.
Yeah, there'll be penalties,
It's a high interest rate.
unless you can figure out a way to come up with the money. Otherwise, they're gonna come in and padlock the property.
Their estimate on our internal revenue, which you said you lost out, I never had a bill to go in there. I didn't even have a
Well,
bill. But
the past,
in
let's
some
focus
people,
on.
$175, every time you pay them.
I know, right, it's on perspective. Right now, there's an emergency, you can take in front of the council. You have to get these bills paid. You have to get it out.
See, there's a ball, that's what they're gonna do, we're gonna do it, for the last, there's no way about it.
Peter's broke. So. All right, the immediate bills that need to be paid, Roseanne, are, well, are insurance.
Rice Hill, Ron Hill,
Highmark, Concordia,
Yeah.
the Selected, Insurance.
We reached out to Ms. Carroll already.
I saw the thing from Roseanne, said we're 3 months behind, said the shut off January 1, we won't pay.
Do you have a relationship with someone in Ms. Carroll?
Just called, said, Mayor Wyoming, trying to figure this out. And he said, don't you have a sanitation account to pay us from? I said, yeah, we do, but
Right down the center.
the problem is that money's been moved around.
That's 9,000. 6. That's currently, right now, that's the application. And I've been getting payments in for next year, people have been coming in, and they've been paying some, but it's not, it's not gonna make a payment. It's not gonna take you 6. One payment is $68,651.63. That's 1 month. So,
Unless they're
I
paid.
mean,
Reach back out, see if we can work something out.
even if we get one payment in, during 1 month, and maybe they'll
Well, I would suggest you all allow the mayor to reach back out to Scarrow and see if there's something they can do with regard to setting up a payment plan, if he's willing to do that. Ask for the utilities bills. At this point, with the sewer ordinance in front of you, if you revise that tonight, you may want to make a motion to consider transferring funds to pay those bills that you're, in the median, your insurance and others aren't shut off.
Even if you did that, the ordinance that they want to change to use the sewer fund says that they can use $100,000. Right now, we owe it $64,000.
Well, that will cover your.
And it has to be paid back for ordinance by the second quarter, which you get a 10, but.
Who's gonna loan you the money?
He's gonna loan me money.
No, he's just.
When is the contract up with Ms. Carroll?
Another year.
It's supposed to raise, I think, this last year.
They're supposed to keep it lower.
I thought that, yeah, I have to find it in her.
One more year, it's gonna go.
One more year? Because I think, Joe, I think I gave you that paper from County Waste.
Yeah, and I was talking to some other people, and I mean, we obviously have to pay them the money, but I know that, like, County Waste, not just a single name, and we could obviously look other places, but they could take you right out of it. I mean, if we're losing money on this and not making any money doing it, I mean, we're paying someone to sit there and invoice every house and figure it out. County Waste in Clark's Green, after talking to our Harry Smith, who does our stuff from Pittston, he said Clark's Green, they pay him directly, take it right out of his paycheck, and that's it. They're completely out of the trash business. I mean, it's something to look at. All West Wyoming's running County Waste, but I think they're still filling it out, but there's different programs from what I'm told. Again, I didn't reach out to them, we can. I will if you guys want me to, but this is just out of control.
I was talking to them about half a year ago or so, because I did call that number that was on the article from the newspaper that I gave to you.
Yep.
And they said what they actually do is they come and they'll do a survey and see what trash is put out, and then that's the size containers
that you get,
and the number of containers that you get per house. They do everything.
Yeah, and like I said, I know some boroughs still do it in-house and then pay them, but from what I was told, they also have a program where it's all out of the borough's hands.
Yeah,
I had a question. This is a question for Chev, actually. Chev, could you get the VFW to pay back the $2,000 the borough fronted for their grant? That might help. It's $2,000, you know?
Why don't you donate it?
Excuse me?
Okay.
That's not gonna.
You already owe me close to $50,000, so.
Yeah, Jim.
I would recommend that you look at the immediate problems now, all of you. But there are a lot of different ways that you can skin the garbage cap. And I would be thrilled to share with you some of the ways that the other towns I work with are doing it. And you can take a look at what's going to work best for Wyoming. But for right now, you need to focus on how you're going to keep it getting picked up after January 1st. You said that you have some money in that account, Roseanne?
$9 grand.
What's the monthly?
16,600.
$16,661.
All right, so that's not that far. But, you know, maybe they'll take a payment and let them know that you're going to continue until you get caught up. Maybe you can make a payment arrangement. The only problem is, Roseanne literally, I don't know if any of you guys are able to be here during the day. Roseanne literally, I've been here, I don't know, twice maybe. And Roseanne and I will have a conversation that's interrupted 10 times by the phone, 3 times by someone coming to the window to pay the garbage bill or the tax or whatever. It's going to be hard for Roseanne to do what needs to be done, because you need somebody who's going to be able to reach out to your vendors and explain to them where you are and what you hope to do. And you're gonna need somebody that's gonna be able to make sense of all of this, and the person, if you go with the peer, will be able to help her with that. But you're still gonna need somebody to man the window and man the phones for Roseanne.
They're gonna have that battle plan in place, though. They don't have a battle plan right now for that to work. They don't know which bill to pay next. That's a good plan, but they can't tell you what it's gonna do. You got somebody in here to tell you that you're gonna call out to a vendor and offer them something to do? They don't know
Well,
what
they
you're
need
doing.
to have a plan, but they're talking, you guys are talking about a plan. You're talking about the sewer maintenance fund. You're gonna have an actual ordinance for that you're gonna follow, right? You're gonna talk, I hope, talk about, hopefully implement a TAN so that you can have some cash waiting at the beginning of the year. And then after that, everything is gonna have to flow. The budget, which is gonna be a guess this year, because there's no way.
It all stems from that point. We never had one.
But so, once you get this quick budget in place now, then right at the beginning of the year, you have to start working at a realistic budget for the rest of the year. So you have to take a look at what your receipts are, and then your best estimate of what you're gonna be paying out, your accounts payable. So, I think that that's the way to address whoever brought up that good point. Those are part of the pieces of a plan. The early intervention program will help you, but that won't be for a couple of months until you get some idea of what their recommendations are going to be. But I think that those are going to be parts of the plan.
Can't we do something with, like, did they hire a person through CEO or the senior?
The aging.
The aging for somebody to come in, which was free of charge, I believe.
You're not gonna have to train them.
Just for to answer the phone, so we'll just answer the phones and stuff, yeah, and take notes from the phones and take you know.
They can do a paper
For now.
receipt because
Until
I have all the
here.
programs I want to
So
do.
they can work with the
You
peer
know what I mean? I have to join sanitation, all the sanitation, and the table, and everything
Okay.
on one.
No, I'm sorry, I wanted her to finish. A couple months ago, they mentioned that, I guess, the cop was going around collecting past due garbage fees and stuff like that. Are they still doing that? And like, how much of that money is still outstanding?
Well,
They're all caught up now, aren't you, Roseanne?
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. When I came here in 2017, there's outstandings from 2014, and I started
Oh, I know that
a
for a
list,
fact.
and I gave it to the past commissioner to take care of it. It wasn't, but now, with the help of Officer Merkovich, he has helped me, and also Paul Kanopka has helped me find people, because I didn't have the updates when people changed addresses and
All right,
the
but do
owners.
you have a ballpark of how much is still outstanding?
Well, I would say probably around 10,000, maybe.
There-
And there was like
there's
almost,
half of what you owe
there was
right now.
almost $50,000
Right.
outstanding. There was a
Right.
large amount.
And then why can't you bring back the garbage stickers? Because we all know why they did away with putting them out, because you couldn't tell who paid and who didn't. You have a sticker, you put it in the window, at least you know somebody paid it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Just to let you know, what your name is, Chris? No, Chris. Just to let you know, the people that didn't pay, everybody was cited and tickets are at the magistrate. Wait for these people to appeal it or plead guilty. And a couple plead guilty, and now you gotta wait for them to pay the magistrate to get the money to
But
us.
if they get a letter to appear in front of the magistrate, they brought the garbage, what's the next?
Warn them for not responding.
Is it continually being followed up?
Yes.
Great. That's what I want to hear.
Roseanne, how long did it take to get to that $10,000 ballpark figure, whatever you gave?
About a year and a half. I mean, I've been sending letters constantly to people. I guess in the past, they didn't have the people who were working sanitation look into it like I did. I went and I said, why did these people pay? And didn't you know? Well, yeah, we know they didn't pay, but that person wasn't capable of, I guess, they didn't want them to write the letter. I don't know. I don't know the whole story, but I started doing the letter, sending it out, and I started collecting the money. I guess the first 6 months I was here, it was like over 11,000 that I was able to collect on my own, and then another 5,000. And then I got more help from, you know, I sent an email to the mayor, and he said, yes, please send us the list, and we can start working on it with you, because you're getting a letter from me, you're not gonna, it's not gonna scare you as much as if the police are coming to your door with the notice. People throw it out, they look at it, they toss it in the garbage.
Now, Ms. Carroll's monthly fee, is that like tonnage, or is that a flat rate? Flat fee.
I believe we pay tonnage on that too.
$16,766 flat for purposes.
Because it doesn't matter who pays or who doesn't pay, they have to pick up the garbage because it's a health issue. So if somebody has a garbage bag out, they gotta pick it up.
County.
Mayor, the $342,000 number, does that include the $50,000 the borough owes me for when they seized my property for the pump station?
No, that would be on top of that, so you're actually
Okay.
talking 392.
Yeah, that goes back to 2016.
Yeah.
Chad, I don't know if you remember that or not. Okay, just checking.
Okay. So, is someone going to look into the aging program to determine?
Can't just keep throwing stuff
I
around.
can't do it all. I can't do it all. I'm trying.
What does it take, Chad? Make the phone call. She told you 3 weeks ago we didn't have the money to get through. What would it take for you to get an answer for it? Here, you guys want to talk about something else too? Did some more digging. Here's a question for you. Back in 2012, right? Right after the flood. You guys remember FEMA money coming in? You remember it? 2012? So Jim busted his ass to try to get FEMA to cover some damages down in Sweatland Lane. We got FEMA money of $18,000 to pave part of Sweatland Lane. Now I know it's back 2012. However, the motion was made, so it went through the process, to contract Penzi Supply in the amount of the $18,000 for FEMA work completed. Frankie made the motion. Flynn seconded it. Never happened. That's federal money. So where is the $18,000? Project never got done, money never got.
Take them out on a bus over here.
I mean, that's federal, so that's an issue.
Okay. The immediate issue is paying the bills, utility bills, sanitation, insurance. You're going to talk to Ms. Carroll about.
I'll give him a call back tomorrow. I told him we had a meeting tonight, and he said, well, keep me in the loop.
Okay. Roseanne is indicating to you guys that, you know, she's doing the best she can. She's doing a great job at what she is doing. She's asking for assistance, and you know, some of you have brought up the fact that there is potentially a program with the aging. Is someone willing to?
I'll
Okay.
try to call.
Mary, you want to talk, so the next on the work session is number 8, grant administration agreement for PennDOT multimodal transportation fund.
I mean, we don't have money to be matching anything right now.
That seems pretty apparent, so. Is there any more discussion that needs to be had on that? So that's also a resolution authorizing the application. It's the same topic. Does anyone want to speak on that? The payroll tax liabilities since July 2018, Roseanne has raised that. I guess you're going to be finding out. You guys want to direct her on how, give her some guidance on what you want her to do with regard to this?
Well, I guess we want to proposals from back on that one, too, she's got up, we don't know, like
have to be a motion to authorize, myself and Roseanne to start the process to bring it back to you. I mean, we won't be able to do anything until next month at the earliest, but I guess we can start looking into it and trying to get information together for it. Jim, will you be able to assist us with that?
Hey, can I ask a question here on number 9? What is that?
I believe, give me 1 second.
That's the one that you talked to Chris Colley about.
Yeah, these.
Who you want?
The engineer. You know me, I didn't.
I believe Chris Colley was handling that last month's meeting, and he asked council to put that on the agenda. That's for the revisions to the 8th Street and the traffic signal, as soon as you come across the bridge. That the developer there is requesting an additional grant. The borough received 1 grant, and I believe the developer, through the borough, is requesting another grant to help pay for those improvements.
And the borough would have to pay for that.
This is the first time I'm reading this, Mayor, when I saw here today. It says in here that the developer is going to pay the 30% match required for the grant program.
Borough.
At the end.
We would still have to pay the solicitor fee,
Your
the
fee.
cash burn fee, your fee, so we're responsible for.
Right, but I believe when I was talking to Chris Colley last month, that those were coming out of the 30% that the developer was supposed to pay. And I'm not sure because I wasn't involved in that at all.
Yeah, that stuff you sent, you said the borough would be responsible for the other fees.
Yeah, see,
And the letter, so that's.
I don't know,
why-
without Chris being here, I really can't answer your question there. I was kept out of the loop in that regard. Okay?
He talked to you, according to the email I saw, it said I ran to Frank, and Frank said put this on the agenda, so.
Yeah, what was it? I think he said it was something like $1,400, but I was under the impression, and I might have misunderstood him, but I was under the impression that the developer was paying.
Yeah, that's what I was too last month. If you want to approve that or move along, you can just make that contingent.
I wasn't even.
So there's a letter here from him. Joe Boylan, of the Chamber of Commerce, asking the total estimate for the project will be $631,700. Request is for $320,000. The rest of the project provided by 2017 MTF grant for $167,995. The private match provided by Vijay Singh via our six-pack to go LLC for $143,000, 30% of the project, as required by CFA multimodal grant program. So please accept this letter from the applicant on behalf of, to demonstrate their financial commitment to provide the required 30% match for the Commonwealth Finance Authority multimodal transportation grant program. All right, so be it resolved, the Borough of Wyoming hereby requests to become the designated applicant for the multimodal transportation fund grant to be used for the 8th Street and Signal Improvement Project. The project was originally submitted to CFA by Greater Wilkes-Barre Industrial Fund. Be it further resolved that the applicant hereby designated Roseanne Callis Russo, Borough Secretary, as official to execute all documents and agreements between the Borough of Wyoming and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. Further resolved, the applicant hereby agrees to pay for any and all costs, such as but not limited to solicitor review fees and all administrative costs, engineering costs associated with the borough's grant consultant Ashburn Advisors LLC.
So that falls on us as the applicant.
I, Roseanne Calderosa, duly qualified Secretary of Wyoming Borough, certified photo assurance corrected resolution duly adopted by a majority of council vote during a regular meeting held on the 12th of November, and said resolution has been recorded in the minutes of the Borough of Wyoming and remains in effect. I fix my hand seal.
I would assume by what you just read, we're the applicant, right? Which means we would be responsible for that money. I mean, we did pay for the VFWs.
Okay, so
You really are, it's nice when the snow plow never got compensated, for you went over your mouth.
Oh, my
You went
God.
over-
Wow, wow, what a loser.
It's not right, Jim.
What do you mean it's not right? The
Blaming
most company
everybody
got theirs
else for
paid for it, the other one got,
The
the
Little
little
League
got.
had to pay for their own.
They just the one, that's a big deal.
It's,
Wow.
it's not
What's
right.
good
It's
for
not
one
the
should
way
be
the
good for the
process
other.
works.
Anyone got 40,000 in the account at the VFW, I think we should pay the two.
Yeah, 40 accounts, yeah.
That's what you said, 40,000 we have in the VFW account.
What the VFW does is none of the borough's business, what the guys here has done everything.
Just
It is
saying,
when they take the borough's money.
when you say to keep it quiet from the national VFW.
Nobody's keeping nothing quiet, our books are open to the public anytime you want to read.
Okay.
We just said none of our business. This is getting.
One answer, you guys, when you sit there acting as you never.
Get it figured out.
Is this the grant this says that nothing, it's only contingent upon being awarded. This was the.
That was one for the fact, that was one for Susquehanna that they were talking about last week. We had talked about this last month. Last month was the one for Susquehanna where we asked Chris, how are you doing a sewer project, how are you paving streets for a sewer improvement? We never did the sewer improvement. So those were two different grants. One was for the $500,000 sewer, the other one was for Susquehanna. This is the third one that just got on the agenda today.
Look, I suggest you table this one to, have Chris come and explain to you what this is and if it's different than something that's already presented. It seems to me at this time that you don't have enough information and knowledge to go forward on it. If you can put on the, notify Chris to provide us more information about that.
So is that gonna be brought up at another meeting?
At this point, the council doesn't have enough information to.
This involves my property, my business. I've called Aaron Copper's office. He told me to ask the council. I've asked the council, they don't have nobody has a plan as to what's gonna happen. So how do I run my business?
What's your business?
Acme Leather.
They're right across the street.
And that's the parking lot they wanna take. And shut us down. Yeah, and first of all, when they applied for their first grant, they said that they were gonna meet all the rest of the obligations to pay this. And now they're coming for a second grant. So how do I proceed with my business, not knowing if I'm gonna have a parking lot tomorrow?
And they showed a plan, but it was so messed up.
They showed a plan, and as soon as I walked up there, the guy kept moving his hand around till I didn't even know what was going on.
Well, sir, this body's not taking any action on this.
And all I'm asking is if this is gonna be brought up at another meeting, because the last time, they tried to sneak it through when I wasn't paying attention. And now I'm here at every meeting, but I wanna make sure it's gonna be brought up at a meeting to where I can voice my opinion.
With a plan.
With
the actual plan.
And not sending us back and forth between council and Aaron Copper's office.
They actually did have a plan, they're taking part of your driveway.
They had a plan.
But they kept moving.
They kept
said,
moving it
"Oh, we
around.
can move it this way, we'll move it this way."
They didn't have a real plan.
They didn't have a plan. I stood right up there with the guy that was here with the plan.
And it was brought up at a work session. I walked in just at the very end of it. They didn't explain anything to anybody. So all I'm asking is that this is gonna be brought up at a council meeting, not done behind closed doors like it was last time.
Those days of the behind the closed door crap are done.
So-
I'll make that
so
promise to you.
It will be brought up at a council meeting.
Okay, so the next item is the police commissioner position. Just so you're aware, Police Commissioner Flanagan tendered a letter of resignation effective immediately. through all what we're going through right now. There will be no change in the department. We'll continue to go with an officer in charge and evaluate going forward what
Yeah, I would ask council not to hire another commissioner. We would have the money to pay it anyway, so we.
The next one, item on there was the approval for the police department collective bargaining agreement. That's been negotiated for, it looks like, yeah, over 2 years now. You know, all sides are in agreement to avoid taking this to binding arbitration. A modest increase to the salaries, and outside of that, well, modest increase to the salary, small increase to the uniform allowance. Nothing else is a significant change. The final item is the review of the pension ordinance. This is to clean up some language regarding pension eligibility to include years on hard and long, which the law allows, which your actuary already includes in. Just the language said that it only counted W-2 wages and not income or salary derived from workers' compensation or hard and long. So that would be a change to the pension ordinance, which your actuary has reviewed and determined to be in accordance with their practices and not an increase to you guys. Mayor, is there any other item you wanted to discuss in the work session?
No, I think we're good.
Is there any other item anyone else wanted to discuss in the work session?
Roseanne, roll call, please.
Mr. Stephen L. Waco, Mr. Frank Fury.
Here.
Mr. Michael Derosa,
There's Webster labor right now, so.
Mr. Michael Flynn.
Councilman Flynn has tendered his resignation.
Anybody else?
Everyone, if you can keep it down, please. Councilman Flynn has resigned effective immediately. I would suggest that the borough advertise for interested applicants for the position to fill his seat. Also, Solicitor Mapansky, due to being overwhelmed, due to having the baby and coming back, has resigned for solicitorship as well.
Diane Smiles. Here. Joseph Schultz. Here. Joseph Thomas. And Lars.
The November 2018 meeting are available for review at the borough office. Any motion? Mrs. Smiles and Mr. Yurk. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Have any? So moved. Reports of the Police Department, Street Commissioner, and Code Enforcement Officer for the month of December 2018 have been submitted and placed on file for public inspection. Administration, Finance, and Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion be made to sign a letter of intent to the DCED. The letter of intent is submitted to the Governor's Center for Local Government Services to request technical assistance. By submitting to this request, the Wyoming Borough agrees to cooperate with the Center. Motion will be made to open the EIP bid grant, bid request for proposal. Bank account updates were made to all accounts on deposit with Fidelity, deposit and discount bank. New account agreements have been changed and updated as of November 21st, 2018. And the empty sewer account has also been updated. That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mrs. Coles. Emergency Service, Police and Fire Department, Mrs. Smiles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to approve Police Department collective bargaining agreement. Also, there will be a motion to be made to review the pension ordinance and to publish notice of proposed change to the pension ordinance. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Smiles. Health and Sanitation, Mr. Yurk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A report, the 2019 trash invoices will be mailed out the week of December 17th, 2018. Discount period December 19th through February 6th, $190. Face period February 7th through May 15th, $200. Senior discount period December 19th through May 15th, $190. Late period, payments made after May 15th, $250, no exceptions. Vacant properties are not exempt from the garbage fees. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurek. Personnel, Mrs. Miles.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to accept the resignation from Solicitor Shannon Craig Lipinski. And a motion will be made to appoint a new solicitor to the borough. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Miles. Personal property, building, Mr. Yurek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurek. Street, sewers, and public works, Mr. Yurek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to approve the amendment of the sewer ordinance. A motion will be made to approve handicap parking spot in front of 17 East 7th Street. Geraldine Leo is the owner. See attached letter. Also, Mr. Chairman, the residents received letters from the WVSA informing them of the increase of the sewer fees. Jeff Colella and has spoken here earlier today for a question and answer for this stormwater program. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurek. Zoning and planning, Mr. Yurek.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, there is no report for that.
Thank you, Mr. Yurek. Solicitor report, I think you did it already, didn't you? She's still on.
No, so, I guess, the only thing I would bring up is that, as you know, you have a requirement to pass the budget. We've had a lot of talk about that this evening, that it is only in rough format and will need to be edited and reviewed. And put together for you guys what is more of an estimated budget. And thank you very much, Roseanne, for your hard work on that. And all you're doing. I would suggest that you motion for the reading of this budget and move forward with this and work through the coming months to revise it, as Jim has said to you, and at least get something in place now to meet your obligation of having a budget in place for the 2019 year. Do you all have that budget that Roseanne, the preliminary one that Roseanne put together?
Next, work done for the police department, so we can submit that as well.
Is that
number two? It's not included in that. I sent it over, but I'll forward it again.
Okay.
We know we didn't have one, but now we have one for the police department at least. So.
And there's, one thing that I'll say, look, keep in mind, obviously there's things that are coming up from the past at these meetings. And while we go through this, what we're going through, I would suggest that you keep a focus on what you need to do in the future to meet your obligations and get this done. Sometimes looking back will be good to understand how we got here, but fighting over what's happened in the past isn't always the best thing. So please keep that in mind as you're having your discussions going forward.
Thank you, Larry. Mayor's report.
Just that police department responded to 290 calls. I did mention that Max put together a budget that we would submit for the police department, so that would be part of the overall budget with line items that we have. And the CDA, which we'll talk about later, so that's it from my report.
Thank you, Joe. Mr. Walsh?
I had an opportunity shortly before Thanksgiving to meet with Attorney Anderson and resolve some of the issues regarding the right to knows that I had submitted that in July. And quite frankly, I think we both concurred that they were information that I should have had in a much more timely fashion. And quite frankly, I'm disappointed in council that they didn't take the opportunity just to order the individual, the open records officer, just to give me the information. I really don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think only now we're beginning to realize the problems that this borough has. And you really need to do something about that. For instance, the insurance not being paid. Technically, right now, neither one of the fire trucks should move. Because, I mean, if we take them out and we have an accident, you pay our insurance, but they're owned by the individual companies. And technically, we have no insurance. So it would be very helpful if you could do something about that immediately, because essentially you have no fire protection at this point. One of the other right to knows that I had involved grant money. And myself, as well as Mr. Serino, who isn't here tonight, inquired about that. And what I was able to find out was there was a street improvement grant in the amount of $140,000. It was approved by Luzerne County to take $90,000 of that for demolition of 3 structures within the borough. One of them was located at 133 East 8th Street. And the demolition was performed by Bedard Excavation at a cost of, I believe it was $17,500, which was paid by the borough. One of the other properties in question was on Monument Ave. And it turns out that that was a reverse mortgage, and the bank took possession of that, and they paid to have that structure demolition. So it didn't cost anything for the borough to have that taken down. And the third structure is the one on Wyoming Avenue, former KB Guilford's.
Jerry, sorry to impose, but I forgot to mention earlier, that property, the one KB Guilford's, Officer McCavish is going through the process with that, and
Right.
it's scheduled to be demoed on the 17th of this month.
Right, but it's at the cost of the owner.
At the cost of the owner. Yes, I'm just letting, yes.
Which we had 90,000 transferred to be able to demolish those buildings. And we only paid 17.5. Where's the rest of the money? Where did it go?
Jerry, I believe it was used to pay, we had to spend it or we lose it. And
Right.
And we used it to pave, after they put the sewers in Colonial Acres. We used that money to pay that.
Was that what I'm assuming that you went back to the county and got that approval.
We had to.
You would have had to, yes. Because it involves grant money.
And then they come and they check it themselves too.
Okay.
Jerry, that information may not be with the borough, that may be with the borough's former solicitor. You know, there's a lot of paperwork or whatever.
Right, well, I can get it from the county.
But, yeah, I mean, there will be communications and documentation going back and forth to change the location of, change the designation of those grant funds. And the county should have that record in their office as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everything was done appropriately so that the borough didn't get into any problems with any future grants, to be quite honest with you. One of the other issues that I brought up was actually, you know, how much money we were spending at McCarthy's. And what I found out on that was, I got the amount, but one of the problems that I ran into was, quite honestly, you were saying that, or it was said that we had to deal with McCarthy's because they're the only CoStar dealer, and that's not true. Actually, Wingfoot, in their Goodyear tire place over near Hollenbeck Golf Course, they are in fact a CoStar dealer. Wyoming #2 had several tires replaced on the truck, and they are a participating CoStar dealer. I also talked to Coast Tire, who said they match anything like that. So there's actually a number of different businesses, some close by, that you could utilize in the future. Some of the other things that we discussed are probably like beating a dead horse at this point. One thing I will say that I was very pleased to hear Mr. Rose say was that they would offer you some assistance in the area of human resources, which, quite frankly, you need a lot of help. Some of the information that I requested and some of the affidavits I got, I mean, there's been some hiring done within the borough that never should have happened the way it happened. And I was really surprised to find out that you have no policies in place regarding accountability to your staff. And you need to do that, especially in this day and age. And they need a lot of help in that respect. And I think that's one area that you should focus on. Probably if that happened before, we wouldn't be in the predicament we are now. And that's all I have to say at this point.
Excuse me, Attorney Anderson, should the police department and the fire department not be operating their vehicles since there's no insurance? Would that be your opinion?
Well,
if something were to happen, is that a problem?
that there, is their vehicle insurance term canceled, or is it?
And the street department too.
He get a cancellation notice, but he informed me the last time that November 15th, he had to have the money in. And he hasn't, he told me he was gonna bring over related cars, and he never did bring them over. So he didn't, you know, so I did put a call into him and leave a message, and I haven't heard back. I'll call him again tomorrow morning, that'll be my first phone call, I'll call him.
I'm just asking from a liability perspective.
But there is concern there, and, you know, I would hope that after this meeting, that tomorrow, some of these will be rectified so that, so that any cancellations are effective. You have the sewer ordinance in front, transfer funds from that to pay the insurance to allow for operation, I think is what this council is going to be considering. And if that occurs, to have bills paid immediately tomorrow so that there is no turn off of the insurance, I think it's fine to be operate. However, if we do not have insurance on the vehicles, fire, police, you're legally not allowed to operate them on the road.
Now, would it be feasible to maybe contact 911 and have the neighboring departments through mutual aid be on standby?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much standard procedure.
If they are out of operation, which you're going to find out tomorrow. I mean, look.
What if something happens tonight, though?
You have to have the 15th.
Nothing's turned off. Nothing's turned off.
Oh, okay.
As far as we're aware.
Excuse me,
Cameras are turned off.
Dan Devon, Wyoming Borough Fire Chief. Just let the residents know, we do have an active mutual aid agreement with all the surrounding communities. So if something was to happen, if workman's comp is still paid, we would show up.
Workman's comp is current.
Workman's comp, then you will still have us as manpower, but not our apparatus. Now, on the insurance, how much is the auto insurance for the borough?
$3,551.
And how long is that for?
6 month, a year period?
That's actually, no, that's just what we owe them, we're gonna owe them.
That's
again.
back. So what's the new policy?
Well, I have to get it, I didn't get it yet. Tamara had, I guess it had gone to her. I didn't receive any of that stuff.
Does
He
the
was supposed to
borough,
bring it over to me.
does the borough have the funds to take care of that, to get us back in service tomorrow?
Well, look, I'm assuming you guys are gonna be going into transfer funds from the sewer down to pay for this. Is that accurate? If that occurs, is there enough funds in the sewer account to do this?
Yes, there's.
Okay.
So we'll get notified of the payment if it was made or not?
I'll call you,
All right.
call you on yourself.
Yep.
Roseanne, or Lars, a yes or no, was the insurance canceled or not?
I don't know.
Yes or no?
Last bill that I
Sir,
received
you've
said
been
it had to
picking-
be paid by a certain time. I haven't received a call from Len saying that you're done, but we need to pay them immediately. He hasn't given us new insurance cards, I'm waiting. He told me he was gonna come over a week ago, he hasn't. paid
But
me.
you don't know if you have insurance on the vehicles or not, up there.
It should be expiration date on there.
There's an expiration date.
You had to have it by the 15th of what?
11/15 was the expiration.
November, December 10th.
So if you don't pay it.
I still don't get a yes or no answer.
It appears that is it canceled?
It's canceled.
I did get a paper saying that it's been canceled, that he didn't, that we have to pay, but we have to pay. But if they're going to get a new insurance card, he usually mails them or brings them over, he hasn't brought them over.
Now, is there any guarantee they're gonna pick it right back up? Sometimes they won't pick it back up.
There might be a waiting period.
Nobody knows what the left and the right is for.
So all the insurance cards that are in the vehicles are expired.
Is that
Correct.
They're done.
Right.
Roseanne, the insurance?
Wyoming Borough is
expired.
The state of Pennsylvania.
Our insurance is up to November 15th.
And that covers all street department, police, and fire. But workman's comp is paid up.
After the last
Excuse me,
meeting-
Danny. Can you assure though, if the engines can't get out, I know there's other units on the first box, but can you make sure there's additional units?
Oh, absolutely. I'll put a call with the 911 until I get a call from her.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that right after the meeting.
Thank you.
But just on a fire call in town, besides Wyoming, you have West Wyoming, you have Exeter with the paid driver, you have Jenkins with the paid driver, and you have Kingston. All the surrounding communities are coming in. So we will still respond, Wyoming Fire Department, for manpower and take charge of the fire scene. All the surrounding communities will come in. If we're gonna be out of service, I will notify county, and we'll probably get Swearsville, West Pittston, 2 more companies coming in just to cover for our absence until this is taken care of.
Danny, how many trucks went to the gas leak the other night?
Oh, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Of ours?
No, both of ours were there. Both of ours was there, West Pittston, or West Wyoming's Rescue, West Wyoming Squad, Jenkins Ladder, and Exeter's Engine. We were all there on that.
Now, Roseanne,
Thank you.
are all of those, is each department, are they all grouped under the same policy? Or is the police department separate, the fire department?
It's all under one policy,
It's all
as
under
far
one
as I'm
umbrella,
aware,
okay.
yes.
One other thing I forgot to mention about that property on, at 133 State. Did you guys ever put a lien on it?
There's no lien on that property.
You should.
Because otherwise you demoed it for just somebody to sell.
Yep. Basically, yep.
The only thing, Jeremy,
Nope, I brought it up to Tamara, whether there was a lien, whether, that's the property that was supposed to go to host company number 1 that did not happen. That was why there was no lien, because it was going to get transferred over to the borough. it's,
Could you just tell me about that tomorrow?
The list of communications received since the last meeting have been played, presented, council, we need a motion to accept. Mr. Yurick, second by Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Ayes, ayes have it, so moved. A list of bills paid, receipts, and payments have been presented to council and accepted. The motion made by Mrs. Cole, signify by saying aye. Ayes, ayes have it, so moved. Resolution, the motion to be voted on. Motion to make this sign the letter of intent with ECED. Mrs. Miles.
I'll second.
Mr. Skulls. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Ayes, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to make an open bid to propose on the.
Sign that.
All right. Motion be made to open bid for the EIP program. Mr. Yurick. Seconded by Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay, the ayes have it, so moved. Motion to accept the bid proposal with the process. What's that?
That's this.
Don't you move on to the next one?
All right. Motion be made to approve the police department collective bargaining agreement. Mr. Yurick.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to debate to review the pension ordinance and publication notice of proposal changes to the pension ordinance.
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Coates?
So what you're doing, what you guys are doing is exactly what you just did with the sewer. Advertise it for a change, and it said, and then next month we'll be looking at it again to make the approval of the change, just so you're aware. Okay?
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Go ahead, Lars, I'll let you go.
Should I just open it, we're gonna have to give me a second.
Go ahead, go, Chip.
Oh, Solicitor Lepansky has resigned. I sent an email to council, so you're going to want to do a motion to accept the resignation.
Everything, I'll be working, everything on the way for you. Motion to accept the resignation of Shannon Lepansky. Mr. Yurick. Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved.
I'd just like to thank her. I'm sure you're probably just gonna say the same thing. But she was very instrumental in helping us get that grant money for Susquehanna Ave, so I'm gonna be sad to see her go.
Motion to appoint a new board solicitor.
I'd like to make the motion to appoint Mr. Anderson.
Second by Mr. Yurick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to
What
approve.
does he want?
He's got it. Motion to approve the amendment to the sewer ordinance. Mrs. Miles. Mr. Yurick. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it. Ayes have it, so moved. Motion to approve the handicap parking space.
Hold on, check. You're gonna have to do a roll call. You're gonna have to do.
Oh, I didn't hear you, I thought it was all yes. Oh, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Mr. Malzako?
Yes.
Mr. Yurk?
Yes.
Mrs. Smiles? Yes. Mr. Stoltz?
No.
Three yes.
Motion approved. Motion to approve the handicap parking space in front of 17th, 7th Street, Miami, PA. Which, well, proposal she pays for the installation and sign. Mr. Garrett, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Stoltz. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion to hire a private investigator for personal matters. Mrs. Miles,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Stoltz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We have a motion to accept the resignation of Mike Flynn. Mrs. Smile. Thank God. Seconded by.
I'll second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion to accept the resignation of Mike Flannery.
Of planning.
I'll second, make a motion.
Chairman, Council, Second.
Seconded by Mr. Urick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved.
Question. In regards to this insurance, should we ask the state or the neighboring boroughs to take over the police department for the rest, like, until we find out tomorrow if we have insurance?
That wouldn't be a bad idea, to pull them off and ask for the state police to have coverage for the night. But, all right, so, and excuse me for my absence for a second there. So the ordinance passed, and you're going to need it to be approved by the mayor in order for it to go into effect. Mayor, you...
I'm not approving it, so we're,
Okay. So in order to overcome the mayor's non-approval, you'll need a...
Should get the state police to come around.
Oh, hold on, you need a super majority of council to override the veto, is that accurate? Which would be a vote of 4? Because you need all 4 council members here to vote. If the mayor's not willing to approve the ordinance, all 4 of the council members will need to vote to approve it. If you do not, you don't have the ability to pay the insurance that is outdated. So I guess it's put to you, Mayor, are you willing to approve the ordinance change?
I said from day one, that sewer ordinance was put on these taxpayers to be used for the sewer fund. I'm not gonna allow everyone to just continue to basically use that money. I mean, it never should have been done that way. All the residents paid that money under the guise that it was for sewer. It's not the residents' fault that council mismanaged this borough to this point. You can laugh all you want, Frank, but since January, we've been telling you, something's wrong. And you said to me, your words to me when we had a conversation was, Tamara Smith does a great job, and Mike Flynn is one of the smartest men I know. Did you say that?
Maybe the council members donate some money?
Mike was a very intelligent man. I don't care what you say, Joe. He was a very intelligent man.
Sir, at this point, we are not having
No,
comment from the public at this point. It's a discussion amongst the council.
So please refrain from shouting out questions or making statements up to the council. So, Mayor, understanding your position, you understand that,
I do understand, and I donated my salary to the borough, so I would ask council to donate theirs back to pay the insurance tomorrow. It was $3,000, man, right?
3,500.
That would,
that's for your car insurance, your health
Yeah.
insurance.
No, just
here's the thing, even if I said yes, or Joe said yes, you only have $36,000 left, because we already owe it 64. So you can't even pay everything anyway, so it's a moot point. The fact of the matter is, that's not what the ordinance, that's not what this sewer fee was for. It should have been managed properly, where the sewer fee was for the sewer, just like the sanitation fee should be for the sanitation, but now we owe the sanitation company $49,000 because we didn't use the sanitation for that. So, I mean, we need the state's help. We need you guys to come in, whether it's jumping right to Act 47 and just clean slate here, because this is ridiculous how we got to this point.
Understanding that, Mayor. Your employee's health insurance is going to be shut off, your vehicle insurance is going to be shut off, and you're not going to have the ability to run the DPW, your fire protection.
And you get what I just said anyway, because the ordinance, even if I said yes, wouldn't allow them to pay those bills anyway, so it doesn't matter. Because they owe $342,000. You got 36 grand sitting there. Even if everyone sat here and had a super majority, you still don't have the money.
So knowing that the mayor is ongoing, or his position, should need to call another vote to see if you have a super majority to pass the ordinance.
Do we have a super majority to pass the ordinance or not?
Don't do it, go. No. Don't give in.
Yes. No? No, we
Can't do
haven't.
it.
Okay.
All right, good for you.
Tomorrow, don't work for nobody.
Chad, it's
It's not his fault.
Your
fault. You violated
Your
fault.
You're the council president.
No, you violated what? You want to talk to me?
The floor is closed to you right now.
No, it's not. You're elected.
Take him out.
Take him out.
I can.
Yes, you can.
I'm not leaving.
You have to leave, sir.
Don't make
They just told me to be
No,
quiet.
Max.
No, he's being a bully.
Come on, sir.
He doesn't have to. He could, I get it, thank you, I appreciate the support, I
would suggest that if you.
I say he's quiet, though.
Sir, will you refrain from screaming out again?
I got it.
You understand that if you do, that you may be asked, you may be removed at that point?
Yes, sir.
Understanding that, are we okay to proceed?
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
With that being stated, knowing that the sewer ordinance does not pass at this time, and that was your plan to proceed with insurance costs. Do you guys have an alternate idea here of how you want to do this?
What's our insurance cost?
It appears your vehicle insurance is about $3,500 that you're behind on, is that correct?
Yes. The totals that are on there will give you exactly what we owe.
Do you have the ability to pay the vehicle insurance and still maintain a cushion for the payroll costs?
Yes, we can pay that 3,000, if,
So there's money in reserve for the payroll right now, correct?
correct.
So if you take out of the payroll,
Then we can't.
then we can't make payroll.
Pay it.
No,
Well, I mean, we could pay it for now.
that's my question to you,
We're doing the
Roseanne.
same thing, we're going to you to pay Paul.
Is there $3,500?
In the general fund right now, yes.
And even if you make that, are you still going to be able to make payroll? When's your next payroll?
Next Friday I have, well, I get the timesheets this Friday, and then I have to do it by Wednesday.
Will you have sufficient funds to be able to make payroll if you pay the $3,500 for the car insurance?
It depends on how much overtime, I don't know the police, I don't know the overtime.
There should be very minimal overtime this pay period, I made sure of that.
Okay, I mean, then we should be okay then. Because last time we only had transfer 14,000, so, we take 14,000 from the 24, I'll leave us with 10.
Okay. Excuse me, I'll give you a $5,000 loan for 30 days, if that helps.
Sir,
Did you just say, no, we don't need money from him? These residents are here because we're
Joe, we have something, sir, have a meeting, please.
Sure, we're not to take it, the VFW was, it's only
Okay, okay. Thank you. Sir, to be honest with you, I don't know the legality of taking a loan from a resident, I can't advise them on
Well, I'm
that.
technically not a resident, I own a business in the town, so if it makes a difference, the business will loan it for 30 days, if it helps.
Okay. Well, look, a kind offer, to be honest with you, I've never come across this before. Just being fair, I don't know if you guys want me to explore if that's possible or not. If you do, let me know.
I would say yes. You would say no, all around.
You would say no.
We have to answer every one of us, we're taxpayers.
I don't care. Why don't you taxpayer give $100 a piece, I'll do it.
Donate your salary, okay?
There you go.
900.
You were asked to donate your salary, and you never
No problem
answered.
with that, we've done that in the past, we've done it for a year.
So do it
No
tomorrow.
problem with that, neither does anyone else on the council. So don't act like it's something that we've never done before. We gave our salaries to people whose houses burnt down. We've done that many times in the past.
I've been there too long. All right, so go back to it though. Suzanne needs guidance from you guys on what other bills can or can't be paid now, or what to do since there isn't going to be an influx of cash into the general fund from the sewer. Does anyone have any guidance for her so that she understands where she should be doing or what she should be doing going forward?
Can I ask something? Right
So,
now,
do you want to?
can I ask something? Right now, all the money should be coming in for sanitation. I know,
First of the year, honey.
Okay, first of the year. And so, but people are paying now. It's due the first of the year. There's a lot of people paying at a time. That money, if we pay sanitation, could we continue with sanitation? Could we pay, will we have enough to pay them to carry us?
We're gonna call tomorrow.
Pay sanitation.
It depends on what kind of, we owe it to them. They're shutting it off January 1 unless we pay, so I'm gonna call tomorrow and see what kind of deal we
Something
can
in
make.
now, and, I mean, maybe we'll have enough.
I'm gonna
And I
call
know you're
tomorrow.
gonna negotiate with other companies, but I'm just thinking that
Yeah.
we don't wanna be with private security, which is, I mean, that's money coming in.
We'll find out more on that tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. Well, does anyone want to, I guess, help Roseanne start making calls to the vendors to see if there's a way to go into payment plans to keep services going while we figure this financial condition out?
She gives me some off every day. I can't work, she takes the rest of them. What she wants me to do.
So I think
Today, tonight, you know, together.
I think priority tomorrow is for the selective insurance, that to make sure that the vehicles are insured for the road.
Yeah, I'll do that first thing, and I'll call them, and then I'll tell them that, I mean, I'll take the check over to them, I mean, but before you leave, sign the check for me, I'll sign the check.
If we do not have vehicle insurance, we need to notify all of our departments that they can't be out on the road doing work. And we'll have to coordinate with Oceana Gert on getting coverage for the municipality, I'm assuming through the state police.
We also have a mutual aid agreement with West Wyoming.
Okay.
We'll be able to address that as well if need be.
We're gonna have to do that tonight, like now.
We'll need to coordinate with, and I'm sorry, sir, the fire chief as well. But he'll need to know whether or not there's vehicle insurance so that he'll be able to know if he can operate.
Could I also know from, I'm the chief of number one.
Oh, I'll call County, I'll let you know as soon as she lets me know.
Okay.
All right.
In the past, when we didn't have a car, we would actually team up with West Wyoming in their car, or Exeter. We would, both of us in one car, so this way, whenever town it was, that's where we would head to. So instead of calling the state police, we would share it between us. And that was either Exeter or something, and that's when we didn't have a car, which is basically the same thing. So I just contact the chief and see if we can ride with him.
I'll give him a call. I'll give him a call.
Joey, that $3,500, is that to bring up this park, just up the back thing?
Just the back, right? Yes.
Don't you have to pay next things too,
Yes.
if they're gonna renew?
So you need $7,000.
Yeah, it's usually that first payment's usually more from what
Right.
I know from my insurance.
So you said you were operating pretty close for payroll, do you have that kind of money?
What's up?
If you have to pay
Full amount.
full amount instead of 35, could you still?
We'll be able to make payroll.
Chad, are you sure you don't want that 5,000?
I don't want it.
Oh, okay, only for 30 days.
That's up to the solicitor, he said you can't do it.
No,
He
he
didn't
didn't
say that, he didn't say you can't do it.
He said he'd have
Why
to
do
check
you want
into
it?
it.
You never counted.
On top of that, okay, so I guess I would also ask that the council approve a motion for Roseanne and I to figure out and solicit information so that we can come back to you next month and hopefully make a proposal on a tandem. So it'd be motion for the authority to proceed, for Roseanne and I to proceed with obtaining information and starting the process of the tandem.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Shearer, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Schultz, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Nay, ayes have it, so moved, so we got to approve. At 10.
We need a motion to accept the estimated budget for 2019 tonight.
You are going to need that as well.
I didn't see it yet, they make a motion, we can have it on that. I didn't see it.
But it's only, like I said, it's an estimated only for right now.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Frank, if you could just repeat the motion that you made for Roseanne, how much closer to
Made the motion to accept the proposal as motion made by Mr. Yerk, accept the budget as written on paper. Second by Mr. Schultz, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Ayes have it, so moved.
motion to accept the bid of the Pennsylvania Economy League for the EIP program.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by
I'll second it.
Mr. Schultz, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Go ahead.
They came in at 40,000 under the 50,000. They came in at 40,000, which is $10,000 under the 50,000. Sorry. 40,125.
We need it.
I'm sorry, sir. I was talking to the mayor. You guys motion on the table.
Yeah.
All right, so before we close, is there anything else that needs to be addressed?
Mike, we have to advertise for.
Yeah, Councilman, the second word, first word, Republican, Democrat. advertise the paper.
So we're not gonna be able to advertise it until we pay the $1,000 back fee on the advertising. Everyone, if you can please keep it down still. Please.
I'll see if I can pay a portion of it.
Yes, sir. It's the same as. To be honest with you, I don't know the answer. I'd have to look at it. And, you know, if you guys want, I can look at it.
You give Rosanna a call, she'll give me a call.
At the end of the day, though, the borough can't go into debt unless council accept. The borough would have to act as a council to approve the ability to take out any loan, whether it be a TAN, a loan from this gentleman, or any other private citizen. And I'm sorry, sir, I said this gentleman because I don't know your name.
It's okay.
And so, you know, anyone could, I guess, give the borough money, without any consequences, but in order for the borough to take the act of going into debt or borrowing that money, you'd have to act as a council. And so I just don't have the answer for you here today. You know, if the council wants to approve, conditioned upon finding legal authority to support the position, I can do that. But outside of that, I don't have an answer for you for this evening. Jim, you wouldn't happen to have an answer, would you?
Jim would be broke before the end of this.
Okay, I would suggest on the call list of whoever's going to be calling creditors to ask, to put Citizens Voice or Times Leader on there to see what can be done. And looking inside of our limited amount in the general fund available outside of the car insurance and the payroll that we need to make sure we keep tucked away, if there can be an amount that can be used towards the Citizens Voice or Times Leader. It appears as if the Times Leader is only $237. That may be the easier one to address for the posting, the advertisement. So,
what are we actually average, what is the actual, give me the title, I don't know exactly, he's Ward, you said Ward 1, is that what it is?
First ward must be Democratic.
if you'd like, I can work with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that should be addressed?
Yeah, we got.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman here, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, offered to you alone $5,000. The host company has a small game chance license. We are required to give 60% payback to the community, which we do every year, the state audits that. And I would like to offer the borough a $5,000 offset after the first of the year. We've already met a requirement for this year. That we will give you the $5,000 check next year, which you can use to repay this gentleman here.
Before you do it, it's a very good proposal, thank you. And I think you better look into it. I think it's on a non-profit organization you have to donate to.
And it has to be a public entity, I believe. Are you a for-profit
organization?
Are you a for-profit community?
Sir, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I don't know, I just don't know off the top of my head if there's a difference between the nonprofit and government entity that would allow for you to donate it to us. I wouldn't want to commit to that if the host company couldn't do it, right? But I appreciate the offer, and if they...
If it's legal, we're willing to pay.
We appreciate that very much, thank you. And I think it's mostly for Little Leagues, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts.
Well, we donate to
like
all those organizations and the library and whatnot here as well.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously, you seem to need a little more and it's going to be used for public interest in that it will be paying for the emergency services and insurances. Okay, so it has to be something that is a give back to the community. If that's not, again, you're not profiting for it, it's something that's protecting the community. I don't know, if you say it's okay, I'm on.
Excuse me, excuse me, if that's an option, there's the liquor enforcement office in Wilkes-Barre, Hanover Township. If you can get a hold of them as soon as possible, someone's always on call, they'll tell you that in 2 minutes.
I have an officer's name and number if you'd like to talk to him. I just met with him 3 weeks ago.
Counsel, if you'd like me to explore that. They also have their own legal counsel in the office, so they'll be able to answer that right away. I'm not so concerned about that aspect of it. I just don't know the answer to the question of can we accept a loan from a business or a private citizen.
Well, this will be a borough, and we're the borough fire department, so it's.
But they have to take the loan for small.
They have to take the loan.
And then take that.
If you guys want a motion to provide me the authority.
Reimbursed by the borough when they got the money.
I can look at that.
Motion on the floor to let Lars look into accepting that one. Made by Mr. York, seconded by
Just so it's clear, the motion would be that if we find that it's legal to accept the loan, to have the authority to work. It'd be a loan from, I'm sorry.
Pat King. Hose company number 2.
Okay, but it'd be a loan from Pat.
Oh, Pat,
It'd be a loan from Pat, and that the hose company would.
when they buy the power.
Yeah.
No, they're paying.
The host company will give you the money to pay back.
That's giving you the money. Now you don't want to do it. Okay.
I don't think it's legal. We can't do it.
So I guess the motion would be that if it's legal to provide me the authority to do everything necessary to get this done.
Okay, Mr. York, a second, made motion. We need a second.
I'll second.
Mr. Schultz. Okay, look into it, Lars, and let's find out.
But you need to take the vote. All those in favor?
All in favor, can I say aye? Aye. Nays? Ayes have it, so moved. Okay?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys back there.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Before we make a motion to adjourn, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a prosperous and healthy New Year for next year. Thank you. Motion to adjourn? Mr. Schultz, second by Mr.